What if I told you that some of the wildest, most jaw-dropping stories you've heard about heavy metal weren't just rumors, they were actually true? Behind the chaos of headbanging crowds and face-melting guitar solos, some bands were living lives even darker and stranger than their lyrics. From bizarre stage antics that crossed every line to shocking backstage habits fans thought were just legends, these tales prove that reality in the metal world can be far more disturbing than fiction. Get ready to uncover the 15 most disgusting heavy metal rumors that turned out to be true, and trust me, you won't look at some of your favorite rock gods the same way again. 15. Ozzy Osbourne, biting a bat on stage. It was supposed to be another wild night for Ozzy Osbourne, but no one expected the chaos that followed. During a concert in Des Moines in 1982, a fan threw a bat onto the stage. Thinking it was a rubber toy, Ozzy grabbed it and sank his teeth right in, only to realize it was real. The crowd went insane as Ozzy stood there, horrified but trying to play it off. He had to rush to the hospital afterward for rabies shots, but the damage was done both to the bat and his reputation. This shocking stunt cemented Ozzy's title as the Prince of Darkness, blurring the line between performance and insanity. For years, fans thought it was exaggerated rock folklore. Still, Ozzy himself later admitted it really happened, proving that in heavy metal, truth is sometimes stranger and far nastier than fiction. 14. Good Game Allen's on-stage mayhem. If there was ever a performer who made people question their life choices mid-show, it was Good Game Allen. Known for mixing punk and metal chaos, Good Game didn't just perform, he attacked every boundary of decency. He'd smear himself with his own feces, break glass on his body, bleed on stage, and even assault fans mid-performance. Concerts often ended in riots, with people running for their lives rather than cheering for an encore. Allen claimed it was about destroying conformity and shocking the world, but most were just disgusted and horrified. Despite being banned from countless venues, he kept performing until his death in 1993. Good Game Allen became more infamous for his grotesque actions than his actual music, leaving behind a reputation that's still hard to believe was ever real. 13. Slayer's satanic blood rumors. When people first heard Slayer's name, they already expected something dark, but few imagined how far the band would go. Rumors spread that their concerts used real blood, and surprisingly, there was truth to it. During their Reign in Blood era, the group leaned hard into satanic themes, covering stages in blood-like liquid and skulls. But in some wild instances, they actually used animal blood for effect. The smell, the mess, and the shock were all part of the experience. Fans either loved it or were completely horrified. While the band often said their dark imagery was just theatrics, their dedication to realism blurred the line between art and ritual. It wasn't just about music, it was about making the audience feel something visceral and twisted. For Slayer, disgust was power, and blood was their most shocking instrument. 12. Blackie Lawless and W.A.S.P. Meat Show. Back in the 80s, when W.A.S.P. hit the stage, parents panicked, and fans couldn't look away. Blackie Lawless turned concerts into carnivals of chaos, complete with raw meat, fake blood, and saw blades. The most infamous rumor claimed he used to hurl raw chunks of animal flesh into the crowd, and yes, it was true. Their props, outfits, and stage antics were drenched in shock value. Critics called it disgusting. Fans called it pure rebellion. At a time when the Parents Music Resource Center was cracking down on filthy lyrics, WASP embraced the label and went further. The smell of blood, sweat, and meat filled the air as Lawless played into the image of a man who'd do anything for attention. It wasn't just performance, it was provocation. 11. Marilyn Manson's alleged rib removal. In the 90s, one rumor about Marilyn Manson spread like wildfire that he had his ribs surgically removed so he could, well, entertain himself. As disgusting as it sounded, people believed it because Manson wanted them to. He never confirmed or denied it clearly, which only added fuel to the chaos. His shocking makeup, satanic imagery, and bizarre behavior made the story feel almost believable. Manson thrived on horror and disgust, using controversy as art. The rib rumor wasn't real, but his willingness to play along proved how much he enjoyed twisting people's minds. The truth was that Manson didn't need surgery to shock the world. His entire persona was already an unfiltered nightmare that blurred fantasy and reality. 10. Rammstein's disturbing stage props. Rammstein built their reputation on turning shock into a performance art. Their concerts weren't just loud, they were bizarrely obscene, using fake phalluses that sprayed liquids into the crowd, fire-breathing stunts, and graphic simulations. They left audiences stunned and sometimes nauseated. The band mixed industrial metal with disturbing sexual and violent imagery, often getting banned or fined in multiple countries. One of their most infamous acts involved a flamethrower and a grotesque milk spray prop that made people question what they'd just witnessed. Yet, everything was carefully rehearsed and choreographed. It was controlled chaos, designed to disgust and impress at the same time. Rammstein proved that in heavy metal, the line between art and obscenity could vanish in a single song. 9. Mayhem's tragic and twisted true story. Few tales in metal history are darker than Norway's black metal scene, and none more disturbing than Mayhem's. What started as a band obsessed with darkness turned into something out of a horror film. In 1991, the band's vocalist, known as Dead, took his own life. Instead of calling the police immediately, guitarist Euronymous took photos of the scene, one of which was later used on a bootleg album cover. Rumors of cannibalism soon followed, with claims that bits of Dead's skull were turned into necklaces. Shockingly, several members confirmed that this was true. A year later, Euronymous himself was murdered by bandmate Varg Vikernes, making Mayhem's story one of real blood and betrayal. It wasn't stagecraft, it was madness, tragedy, and evil mixed into one of metal's most haunting chapters. 8. Alice Cooper and the Chicken Incident. In 1969, Alice Cooper was performing in Toronto when chaos erupted. Someone in the crowd threw a live chicken onto the stage. Not knowing what else to do, Cooper tossed it back, assuming it would fly away. But it didn't. The crowd tore the poor bird apart, and the media went wild, claiming Cooper had bitten its head off. While that part wasn't true, the bloody rumor stuck, giving him a reputation for being a monster on stage. Instead of denying it, Cooper leaned into the legend, building his shock rock image around that single horrifying night. The chicken incident became part of metal mythology, proving how one gruesome misunderstanding could define a performer forever. Even now, people remember the feathers, the chaos, and the man who didn't flinch when horror hit the stage. 7. Ozzy and the Dove Decapitation. Before he ever bit a bat, Ozzy Osbourne shocked record executives in a much smaller and stranger setting. During a meeting with CBS Records in 1981, he showed up drunk, holding 2 white doves meant as a peace gesture. But Ozzy, being Ozzy, peace didn't last long. He grabbed one dove and bit its head off right there in the office, blood dripping onto the conference table. The executives were horrified, and the stunt instantly made headlines. It wasn't planned, it wasn't a show, it was pure madness. For Ozzy, it was just another chaotic impulse. But for the music world, it became one of the most disgusting and unforgettable moments in rock history. It was the act that truly crowned him the Prince of Darkness. 6. Mötley Crüe's disgusting tour habits. Mötley Crüe wasn't just known for wild parties, they were infamous for their revolting tour behavior. Their hotel rooms were disaster zones filled with leftover food, urine bottles, and substances too gross to describe. They bragged about throwing TVs out of windows, wrecking furniture, and doing things so filthy that even roadies refused to clean up. Band members told stories of drinking contests that ended in vomit-covered carpets and stinking tour buses. One of their most famous tales involved the egg prank, where they'd leave raw eggs hidden in hotels to rot for the next guests. Their lifestyle wasn't glamorous, it was chaos, filth, and destruction wrapped in leather and eyeliner. They didn't just live rock and roll, they embodied its dirtiest, most disgusting version. 5. Gene Simmons' blood-spitting routine. When Kiss took the stage in the 70s, no one had ever seen anything like Gene Simmons. With his demon makeup, 7-inch boots, and serpentine tongue, he didn't just sing, he performed like something straight out of a nightmare. The most infamous part of his act was his blood-spitting ritual. Fans thought it was fake, but Simmons revealed it actually involved a mix of yogurt and real blood capsules he would keep in his mouth before vomiting them onto the crowd. The result was both shocking and disgusting, and fans couldn't get enough. Under the spotlight, It looked terrifyingly real, leaving audiences convinced they'd witnessed something demonic. It wasn't just about theatrics, it was about fear, fascination, and total spectacle. Gene Simmons turned blood into a trademark, and every performance reminded fans that metal's most haunting images sometimes come with a taste of the real thing. 4. Bathory's satanic animal sacrifices. Bathory helped shape black metal's sinister identity, and their early recording sessions were just as disturbing as their lyrics. Rumors claimed that Quorthon, the band's founder, used animal blood and even performed mock sacrifices while recording. As unbelievable as it sounded, insiders later admitted some of it was true. Animal remains were reportedly used to create atmosphere and authenticity. The studio stank of death, and the sounds were drenched in eerie realism. Quorthon wanted fans to feel darkness, not just hear it. And these twisted rituals became part of his creative process. It wasn't about worshiping Satan, it was about channeling fear and disgust into music that felt truly forbidden. Bathory's influence shaped black metal's image forever, proving that sometimes the rumors about evil weren't just marketing, they were part of the art. 3. Gwar's grotesque stage antics. When Gwar hit the scene, they didn't just play metal, they drenched it in fake blood, slime, and every bodily fluid imaginable. Dressed as alien warriors from hell, they created one of the most shocking live shows in history. Their concerts were like horror movies come to life, spraying audiences with buckets of fake gore and other disgusting substances. Fans would leave covered head to toe in red, laughing and gagging at the same time. Gwar's props were over the top, from decapitated politicians to mutant creatures, all designed to push limits. They turned disgust into entertainment, proudly calling their shows art through absurdity. What began as a college art project became one of metal's most outrageous acts. Gwar proved that filth could be funny, shocking could be fun, and heavy metal could be as theatrical as it was disgusting. 2. Slipknot's rotting masks. Slipknot became famous for their terrifying masks, but the real horror wasn't what they looked like, it was how they smelled. In the band's early years, the members wore their masks non-stop, refusing to wash or replace them during tours. Some were made of latex and leather, others with pieces of animal flesh stitched in. Over time, the masks began to rot, reek, and even grow mold. Bandmates joked that the stench could knock someone out cold. But it wasn't just a gimmick, it was part of their raw identity. Slipknot wanted to embody chaos, fear, and filth in every possible way. Their stage presence was meant to make you uncomfortable, and their decaying masks did exactly that. It wasn't glamour or theatrics, it was pure, sweaty, unfiltered horror that redefined what it meant to be truly metal. 1. Marilyn Manson's alleged bone collection. Marilyn Manson has always lived on the edge of shock and disgust, but this rumor took things to another level. Stories began spreading that he owned a personal collection of human bones, some even claiming he used real remains for his stage displays and photo shoots. At first, it sounded like one of those twisted urban legends that follow every controversial artist. But years later, insiders confirmed that Manson did, in fact, possess real human bones, which he kept as art pieces. The discovery sent chills through fans and critics alike, proving his obsession with death wasn't just for show. Manson blurred the line between performance and reality, collecting darkness the same way others collect paintings. Whether it was a statement or a sickness, it added another layer to his disturbing mystique. In Marilyn Manson's world, even death itself became part of the art. So, after hearing these shocking stories, one thing's clear: heavy metal isn't just about loud music and wild energy. It's a world where reality can get darker, dirtier, and more disturbing than any rumor ever told. From blood-soaked stages to twisted real-life horrors, these legends prove that sometimes the truth really is stranger than fiction. But here's the question: do you think these extreme acts made metal more powerful, or did they push it too far? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let's see where you stand. And hey, if you loved diving into the wildest side of heavy metal, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, tap the bell icon, and stick around, because the next story might be even darker than this one.